Good morning all. It's Friday the 15th. I want to do a little bit of a test honing. This rather dilapidated but very early Puma 89. I got it off eBay. The gentleman's a collector of English razors, not German. He was quite happy to be rid of it. What was interesting about it was it had been abused quite a lot in its life, and I'm trying to bring it back to being a useful razor as a restorer of these things. I don't know if you can see that, you probably can't. I've actually got 2 layers of tape on it today. The edge I've marked with the black felt pen so we can see what's happening with the edge. So after taking out as much of the pitting as possible, and a little bit of realignment on the edge, it had been canted towards the toe quite a lot. You can probably see that. So I've done the rough mechanical side of it, which I always advise using diamond files and a coarse stone. Now, talking of coarse stones, I don't normally use this. This is a King Deluxe 1000 grit stone. It's a horror. When I try to true it up, it takes a huge amount of effort. You can see by the amount of waste material on my diamond plate. The most amusing thing is when you put water on this stone, look at it, it absorbs it like a sponge. So you can't get a nice even flow. I'm not too bothered because this is just a roughing stone. It was cheap, but you get what you pay for. And this was about I don't know, 25, 26 pound Chinese stone, 1000 grit. But look at this water. It'll actually absorb water almost as fast as you can put it on. So I'm not entirely convinced it was a sound stone to use. But if you want to true up the edge, probably not that bad an idea. So let's put a little tiny bit of water on again and see what happens when we do a couple of strokes. Oh, that's encouraging. When I say encouraging, it's nice to see the geometry of the blade, which I guess to be fairly good. I'd have a word to say, if I may, on early Pumas. They seem to be a superior steel. Whether or not they are, debatable. But one of the little things I looked for was, I don't know if you can see that, I'm not very good with these things, but it's got a lead wedge, and I think that pretty much means it's pretty early. But looking at the, yeah, that's not too bad actually. I think we can go with that. So let's just see a few more strokes. This should, in theory, cut a nice new edge. So we're setting the bevel on 1000 grit. You can see already the stone is quite dark. You can't see much slurry, but it's such a coarse stone that it's actually been sucked into the stone. I'm using my usual double-handed approach. I like being able to put pressure and control. And I think this is actually going to work out to be okay. So there's your witness. Your witness line is quite good, quite even. I'm not entirely happy with the geometry. There's quite a lot of belly to this blade. When I say belly, I should say smile. There's actually very little true belly. So you can see it's a deep hollow ground. But I'm not going to make a huge fuss of this one. This is a rescue job. And there's a limit, but I do think when you get an early razor, well, reasonably early razor, you should try and put some effort in and make it as good as possible. One of the things that's interesting is the feel of 1000 grit. It's you really do feel you're moving some metal. And let's just see. Put it on the old nail test. Ooh, yeah, that's there already. Huge resistance, meaning that's quite a sharp edge already. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Well, that's encouraging. It means that I can actually go from this rather strange 1000 grit king stone, which will now probably take the rest of the day to dry out before I put it away. Let's put that one where it belongs. Now we'll go to the 3K. My 3K is my normal go-to. It's the professional. It's a 3000, and of course it's a nanoir, and it's a nanoir professional. It's a very superior stone. So we'll have a go with that, and then we'll be nearly ready to regress downwards. The only thing I would say is be very careful. This is not a valuable razor really, but be very careful when you're dealing with these very coarse stones to wipe off and remove any contamination. I don't want to get any particles onto my better stones, so clean them off. I'll just check for this one. I know it's all right, but I'm just going to check with the old pencil test just to make sure we're somewhere near reasonably flat. And we are. That's very, very good. Look at the quality difference between 1000 grit nanoir professional and that piece of rubbish that I've just used. And that is absolutely superb. Smooth as silk, very consistent, and it's flattened already. Let's see now. Yeah, and a very different feel. One of the great masters of feel is Devon Jackson in America. Devon goes in great depth and precision onto the feel of stones, and which is very wise. And that feels very, very good. Do you know, I don't think we're going to need too many strokes on this. Simple reason being, with 2 layers of tape, we've altered already the set on the bevel. I'm perfectly happy to go now onto finer stones. But when I finish this, I'll try and do a shave, and it'll be rather interesting to see a comparison between a really early steel, let's say really early, I don't know. I'm guessing about turn of the century. That's very nice. Can you see the swarf now is quite evident. That's a nice grey, heavy grey swarf. Now I don't believe you need a huge number. Also, when I normally go onto finer stones, I roll onto the back of the spine like that. But in the early stages of honing, where I'm putting loads of pressure on, I just remove the blade off the stone. But if this were my final finishing stones, I don't. On the final finishing stones, I roll just as you would on a strop. The reason being, if you make a mistake, which touch wood, I haven't, but if you were to make a mistake and actually hit the edge onto the stone, well, you might have to start all over again. But that looks extremely promising. I'm rather pleased. How about that? There's all the grey from the metal. That's very, very nice. I will use a little loop in a minute just to check. You want to look silly? Now that looks silly, doesn't it? But it works. Yeah. That's looking okay to me. So the other little trick, well, this is just me being pedantic. I tend to use or tend to wipe off the witness felt marker thus. I like to see the purity of the edge and the steel. Some indelible markers are an absolute sod to get off. This one is very easy, just water and wipe. But anyway, getting back to where we were. Oh yeah, that's looking rather nice actually. Yes, that might turn out to be okay. So let's get rid of our 3000K, which has done its job admirably. That's the Nano. This is my 5K. This is a Shapton, and it's a wine fine Shapton 5K, and it's a lovely stone. I hate to keep reinforcing the same point, but you do get what you pay for. If you go for taking this hobby seriously, which I am beginning to, it probably does pay to get the slightly better stones. I do tend to go for quite a few stones for the simple reason that I'm lazy. I'm not going to spend half a morning on one stone. So by going through a progression of stones, I do tend to find any errors, any scratches left from a previous stone tends to be helped up to about 8K. Obviously after 8K, you're talking about pretty fine finishing, and then if you've got any scratches after 8K, they're going to stay there. You'd have to go all the way back again to remove them. So there you go. That's 99% of the pencil marks removed. So we're talking about a nice flat stone. Obviously, I know a lot of you guys watching this are already far more expert than me, but anybody starting off in the hobby, I thought some of this might be of interest. Yeah. You see now I am rolling the blade, not lifting it off the stone so much, just rolling it, because we're now beginning to not need as much pressure. Add a bit more water. That's better. Everybody has their different techniques. I'm not perhaps as thorough on some aspects of the technique as others, hence why I go relatively quickly from one stone to the next. But I'm pretty certain that as you go down through the layers of stones, I'm particularly impressed by the coarse stones. Do get there quickly. I'm never very happy that I've removed all the scratches. I'm not going to take this and put it under the microscope every time I change stones. It's just going to take the rest of your life. It's not worth it. Particularly on an old razor like this one. Look at that lovely, lovely grey swarf. Hence why, judging by the swarf, you've got a pretty good idea of how much metal you're taking off. And that, I would say, is enough. I'm not claiming to be an expert, but I do not intend to spend hour after hour after hour. There's no need for that. You get to judge the pressure. I'm still putting a fair amount of pressure. Not too much, but that's a fair bit of pressure. Don't ask me to quantify what pressure actually is. Now, I'd guess I'm putting on 2-3 pounds of pressure, because I want to make sure that we get all the previous scratches out before going for less and less pressure on the finer stones. So that's your 5K. I'm not going to do any more because that I would say was enough. I'll just give it the nail test. Cool. Does that ever grip? Now for the real test, which is the thumb pad test. Yeah, it's trying quite hard to grab my little lines on my thumb. I'm not very good at this. I'm going to get better. Maybe it's better with entirely dry finger, I don't know. Let's just clean off this blade. Try one more time. I think the far better test for me is the little baby tomato and the thumbnail. But the thumb pad, yeah, not certain. I won't lie. Let's go to what I do know. Baby tomato. Ooh. Ah, interesting. Ooh, very good at the rear. Pretty good in the middle. No, that's good. Also, on a horticultural note, these are old baby tomatoes now, so as you can see, they're a little bit wrinkly. And when they get wrinkly, you can't cut them. But on the other side where they're smooth, woo! Yep, that's there. Right, oh, and don't waste fruit. That's lovely. Okay, on to the next step. Let's go to the 8K. And I'll do a little test. Right, goodbye 5K. 5K Shapton. The Wayne stone. A very fine stone, very nice indeed. Do remember to wash off any residual stone from your diamond plate. I have this fear of rubbing coarse abrasive into a fine stone. It's very unlikely, but you never know, and it doesn't take a sec, does it? So let's just make sure they've got a reasonable flatness. That's me putting about 25 to 30 pound of pressure, maybe more, probably more like 50. Anyway, that's it. Tiny little bit of a pencil mark there. And that'll soon be gone. Yep, that's it. Wash off your diamond plate. And what I'm going to do now, I don't know why really, because this isn't a particularly valuable edge or a particularly valuable razor, but we've proved it's got a good edge, so let's kill it. So let's put a strike across thus. We'll take a fresh baby tomato, and look at that, absolutely dead. There's no edge there, and we'll see how many strokes it takes to bring it back. What I love about these super whites is you can see exactly the amount of swarf coming off. Yeah, that's good, that's cutting well. I'm doing rotary strokes for a simple reason: you're covering more area quicker. Also, I'm assuming, and I'm not entirely mad, that what's happening here is also you're altering the scratch pattern. I haven't got my most powerful optics on at the moment, so I'm going to have to do a bit of guesswork, but I've done this quite a few times before. I'm perfectly happy with the consistency of result. So let's do a few backwards and forwards. I would normally say a one stroke kill on the edge normally needs between 25 and 40 laps to bring the edge back. But then you have a reasonably consistent edge. Look at that lovely dark grey. That is cutting so well. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that feels good on the nail. Quick test on the tomato. Oh my God, yeah. Now, that's interesting. I'll just give a couple more. It's very, very good. But as usual, the nose just needs a little tiny bit more. So I'm putting a little bit more pressure on the toe of the blade. And we'll see how that works. After which we've done everything to reset the bevel. That's all that's needed. As I say, perhaps you can call me a bit of a fast Alec, but I'm not going to spend all morning on one blade. I'd say that we're there. Well, that lovely, lovely grey. A lot of this is down to consistency of pressure. Let's see what happens now. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. This is good old steel, isn't it? I mean, look at that. Oh my God. That's an edge. So, hopefully now I can simply go to my finishing stones. So there you have it. Almost there. Be very cautious putting down a razor. Won't be the very first time or the last time. So I put it down, I felt, did I touch the edge on the draining board? I probably did. Not this time, but I have done. And as we know, there's nothing as delicate as a razor's edge. So I think now we'll go to a 10k, and after a 10k, can you see what I'm saying about process? This 10k I know is fine, I've already lapped it. The process is, in my opinion, the process should be less laps on the finer stones. So let's do less on this one. See, there's hardly any swarf. This is an American stone. It's actually very, very good at giving a very high polish. Let me see what I can read about the details on it. It says, our world is flat. It's a nanohone. It's an NS10K nanohone. What makes it rather unique, it's got a nice thick either steel or aluminium alloy back to it. So it's quite a thin stone, but it's not going to warp. You're not going to get any warping issues with a stone like this. A few more and we'll call that done. Going from 8k to 10k isn't much of a drop, but the different feel, the feel on this nanohone is completely different. It's smooth as silk. I can hardly feel any cutting at all. So that's where I love to listen to other people's YouTubes, particularly Devon Jackson, because his sense of feel is remarkable. So, do you know, I think a few more laps and we're done. I don't think I'm even going to bother checking under the loop. This feels absolutely consistent. That's really, really nice. Tiny bit of staining on the stone now, hardly anything. I haven't used the slurry for the simple reason we're getting finer and finer now on the finish. And I reckon this is going to be already quite a shaveable edge. So we'll call that it. I reckon that's good enough. Cool. Does that ever grip? Yeah, that's very grippy. Yep. There's a nice mirror edge. So that's the process. Nothing much else to say. We've gone from 1,000 grit rubbish stone through to Japanese high quality synthetics to an American high quality synthetic. I'm going to now inspect the edge a little bit more before finishing off with probably 12 and then 20k Gukomyu, if that's the way you pronounce it, which is Suhiro, which is a beautiful stone. Anyway, then hopefully we'll have a shave. Anyway, champs, I hope this is vaguely interesting. This is my process. I mean, others have a slightly different cant on it, I'm sure. Anyway, enough of my nonsense. If you did enjoy this and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I'm always doing things like this, so I'll catch you guys later. Bye for now. Thanks for watching.